Hello and welcome to Inking on the Fly with me, Amy Jasper. Today I have paper pumpkin alternatives. Woohoo! Yay, so exciting. Well, I have one. It's an involved one though, so I think it's fair to only have one to share with you today. The July paper pumpkin kit has cards such as this. So it's the trifold design, which I love, and I was worried because I wasn't sure that I could pull off something better than what they already had. Something that I would like more, or at least just as much as what they already provided for us. So, but I think I'm happy with what I've got. So my son thinks I'm happy, or is happy with what I've got for you today too. So let's get started. So I wanted to, I don't know, I guess I'll show you here. I'll show you what I did already. So this is the alternative card that I designed. The front of the card is pretty simple indeed. But when you open it, this is where the magic happens. Doo -doo -doo. So we have a bit of a diorama framed kind of card. I don't know what, I guess it's a diorama card. We'll call it that. Let's go with that. So we have all of the elements of two of the trifold card designs put together into one super uber awesome card. Wah, wah. Pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I made that. So you can see here I have my two, well, I guess I should show you all of them. I have, here it is. So these are the two card bases that I cut apart for this card. So we're going to use the inside or the outside piece of this one, which I have trimmed down, and the other side of the same one. So we can get rid of the middle part. This middle part is handy for when we do a label. So I'll keep that to trim that down later. And then we have these pieces trimmed down. So this one I have cut off just 1/4 of an inch off of the bottom. And then I cut off the front. So these are 5 1/4 tall. And then this one is, I cut this one to be 4 inches wide. This is your standard card base size. This piece here I have cut to 3 5/8 by 5 1/4. And this piece I have cut to 3 5/8, also 5 1/4. So I wanted my card, I ended up trimming my card down to be 5 1/4 because the way that these card bases are designed, you have a white trim around them. Let me grab one that's not cut up. You have this white border all the way around. So when I cut this piece out and needed to trim the sides, I had a white border top and bottom if I wanted to keep it 5 1/2 inches tall. And then when I trimmed that off and I was going to put it inside the card, I didn't want a border top and bottom. It was already hard to get it narrow enough on the edge. Anyways, I had reasons. These are reasons. You can do what you want when you make this, if you make this kind of design. Okay, what else do we need? So those are some of our pieces from the two card bases in the paper pumpkin kit. And then I have this piece here, which is Pool Party. So this one I have cut to be 4 3/4 wide and 5 1/4 high, tall. And then I've scored it 1/2 inch from each side. That's going to be the inside part that pops up. So this piece here, we need to cut out the middle section. So here we have on my sample, I have this piece here is the bridge that goes over top, but I want to be able to see through it just as I can see through the piece that I'm going to layer over top of it. So let's get that part going. And this requires a bit of patience. So what I did was I lined up this piece in between those score lines, and then holding them steady in place, I'm just going to use that as a guide, and I'm going to make pencil marks with the pencil that was here seriously a second ago, and it is gone. Where did it go? There it is. So I'm just going to put pencil marks so that I know the parameters of the element that I'm placing over top, because I don't want any of my pool party cardstock to show in the inside of this frame. So now I have pencil marks, and I can take my paper trimmer with the slidey mechanism and my pencil marks I can place inside so that I can see them inside this track. Of course, it's hard for you to see. There it is inside the track. So then you can see that it's, if you can look, then you can see that it's centered in the track. And then we want to lift up the blade and then place it down so that it's in line with, parallel with our other marks that we made. And then we can cut all the way up to the mark that we made at the top. And we can go a little bit past those marks, top and bottom, because we have room. It's the sides, we don't have a lot of extra room. So I may even have to cut this further over, but we'll see. And let's do the other side the same. So again, watch, make sure your mark's in the center of the blade. And cut, and then we're going to carry on and finish the frame top and bottom, and hope that we cut it where we need to cut it and don't have to do it again or over again. So that's nicely trimmed. Let's see if it fits. So I want to not have anything showing. I have a little bit of an edge showing on the right and left, but you know what? Maybe I can live with that. It's such a small amount and it's straight, so that's good, right? Okay. So I don't use that sliding trimmer very often. I love my guillotine trimmer. So my trimmer blade is kind of not as sharp as probably it should be, because usually it doesn't matter to me. That's okay. So I have a bit of a pencil mark on both sides. I can erase those pencil marks. And then I can just attach my element here to this. I don't know. Do you think maybe I need to trim more of that? I don't want to. I don't want to trim more. All right, it just needs a little bit. So I should have known better, because I need to go to the edges, or right to the, like if you draw a pencil line on the inside of a frame and you want the frame, you want it to not show, you have to put your cut on the outside of that pencil line. I didn't do that. So this gets a little tricky. Oh, that worked out okay. Sometimes it's hard to cut just a smidge off when it comes to using these sliding paper trimmers, because they do bend the paper a little bit. Okay, that should be better. Okay, now we can see how this fits on here and make sure that's better. I like that better. So now there's no pool party showing. That makes me happier. Okay, so we can go ahead and glue that on. So I'm going to use my Tombow liquid glue, which has also disappeared. I grabbed everything, I swear. I swear I did. Tombow liquid glue. You probably fell on the floor. Oh, here we go. It migrated. That happens with my stuff a lot. So I just have this skinny edge on the sides. So the Tombow liquid glue is quite handy for that. I can get it to start. There we go. And with Tombow liquid glue, less is more. You don't want to overdo it and have it all smudging out the edges. So then we can attach that to our pool party piece, making it flush top and bottom. In between those two folds, score lines. Oops. There we go, looks good. So then I can go ahead and fold along those score lines. And that creates the inside of that shadow frame that we want to create. So that's we're getting there. Okay, so then we have this card base section, which it was originally folded this way. We're going to fold it the opposite direction. And that way the inside has this beautiful decorative left side of our card, which will be quite nice. And then on the other side, we're going to, we need it to fold up so that we can attach this piece inside. So this section is going to fold up toward us. So I need my scoring tool, and I use the Simply Scored tool. It's super easy to use. And I'm just going to score a 1/2 inch from, let's try this side. I don't know which is more accurate. A 1/2 inch. I think that's what I did. Now I'm second guessing myself. I'll need that scoreboard later. Got lots of scoring to do. So this side is going to then fold up. And you know what? I'm just realizing I probably want to decorate the front of my card first before I start putting in all of my elements on the inside. So maybe we'll do that. I did it the other way when I made my sample card, and it is a little bit harder to stamp and do all that on a card that has a bunch of stuff underneath it. So let's do the inside, although I am doing it a little differently than my original card. So one thing I noticed, and you'll probably notice this as well, on my sample card, when my card base is full, or just when the whole thing's folded closed, this edge was sticking out beyond the edge of the front of my card, which is why I added just this little strip of Pool Party on the edge of my card. When you open it, it looks lovely, and kind of balances out this side too. But I just needed that to cover up the unsightly kind of little edge bits that were exposed. And the reason that happens is because this piece is not 4 1/4 because it's meant to be on the inside of a card. So they actually designed it to be narrower than the card base. So that's why when I close this, I have again this little lip. I didn't want to make my inside piece any narrower because I've already got it so narrow on the edges. So to get around that, on my sample I added that little strip, but on this card I'm going to just put a Pool Party front on my card and we'll see how that goes. It's different, a different way to do it. Let's see what happens and how it looks once that's all put together. So knowing that this is going to overlap one of the edges, I want to make sure that my glue isn't too close to that edge. And I'll put some glue up here so I know it will be glued well. But I don't want the edge to have glue on the other side, right? You know what I'm talking about. So then this piece is going to layer over top of our card base. And hopefully when my card is done, that will be enough of a lip over here to hide the other side of my back side of my card. I think that will work. It looks promising. So I have this piece here that's going to attach. I did this a little differently too. So on my original card, I had a border around top and bottom and had cut this piece to be 5 inches tall. This one I've got it as 5 1/4 inches tall, so that I'm only going to have the blue showing on the sides. And then you'll notice it's not white in the middle, but that's okay because guess what? We have this part of this card front that we popped out, and we can use that as the layer that's going to go inside of our card. So that's our next step, is to stamp that piece. So I need my little dirty little back piece of scrap paper here so that I can stamp some things on my front piece of my card. So I'm going to use the little tree stamp that comes in the paper pumpkin kit, and there's hair on it, so maybe I better just give it a quick rub down. I made the mistake of rubbing it on my pants to get some of the manufacturing residue off, which is a lazy way to do it. But my pants left a bunch of lint, so that didn't work for me. There, okay. So I'm going to stamp a couple of trees. I'm going to do, the kit comes with garden green. I'm going to use a Pool Party color as well. So I've got a Pool Party tree. Got lint on my ink pad. There we go. So I'm going to do a Pool Party tree right about there. And I can use the coordinating little accent piece to do some little pine needles on my tree. And then I can use the garden green. I'm not worried about my stamp being dirty because it's such a light color that I used before. And it's garden green, so it's not gonna muck it up. So that I can just stamp. Oh, I don't know. It's hard to know if my trees are straight. There we go. Let's do that. We'll stamp that guy. I don't know. How about here? And then we'll go in with the accent again. And stamp the little accents on that one too. Oh, we're going to use the garden green again because we're going to stamp the congrats up here somewhere, right about there. Oops. Good. Then we can assemble this front bit. So I also added a bit of linen thread. It's a handy tool to have in my craft room. So I'm just going to tie some linen thread around my front layer that I'm going to put on my card. Play around with the bow, make it do what I want it to do. And then that can go on my card with dimensionals. And because it's got such a big open space in the middle, I'm going to be pretty liberal with my dimensionals because I want to make sure that that space still, like all of that space stays lifted. Oops. And my card base, or the whole, like it looks a little crazy, but I don't want anything moving on me. And this ribbon is kind of hard for me, or the linen thread is hard to tie tight for some reason on this paper. I don't know, I had the same problem with the previous card. So I'm going to use dimensionals strategically to help hold that linen thread in place a little bit better. Then we can peel off all of those backings. And pop that on the front of our card. Make sure it is the front. Yes, it is. And it is the same height as the card, I just remembered. It's funny when you're working away and you're like, what's happening? Oh yeah, I did that on purpose. There, now I have an even edge side to side of that pool party, which I like. Okay, done. And then, yeah, then we have our congrats. So that's going to stick on in there with just regular old adhesive. So I can go with my liquid glue again. And we will pop that down, being careful not to touch glue to where we don't want it to be touching. We can use something to just kind of help pop up the elements that we want popped up. Because, you know, it was a perfect die cut piece, so it's going to have a hard time getting past its counterparts. especially if I don't put it in exactly in the same place, which of course happens because I am an imperfect person. And I mean, I'm human, right? There, now we have a popped up piece that fits perfectly over our inlaid section. Just trimming off some of my little nibblies. You know I don't like those. Might have to go back and fix those later. But then we can put in some sequins. Give it a little sparkle. Cute. Yes, I do like that better than my first one. So to compare, first one, second one, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Every time I say pretty cool, I think of Better Call Saul. No, it must have been something else. I think it was from The Office. Okay, so there we go. So that's the front. So that's a cute alternative option on its own, just that. But we're gonna do more. But wait, there's more. Okay, so if you recall, we have that one scored. So this is our inside. We are going to then put this piece in the middle on the inside. So that's going to glue down directly. And making it flush top and bottom. If your measurements, like your cutting, isn't perfect, as mine is not, and I have a little bit of a lip under here, I can go and trim that afterwards. Although it'd be easier to do now, wouldn't it? Maybe I'll just give it a quick trim now. With my paper snips, I can just follow the edge of the card base and trim that off. No problem. Oh, it's just so cute. Okay. All right, now we have a few elements here that we need to grab. Some of our pop-up sections to get ready with. Okay. So inside my pop-up card, I have this tree back here. And that pops up as the card opens. And that is this piece. So what you're going to do is you're going to score at 1/4 of an inch from that end. And then, let me just double check, 1 3/4 of an inch, and then 2 inches. And then the whole thing, I forget if we need to trim the whole thing or not. Let's find out. So I haven't scored that, so I better do that. Oh, and I want to stamp my tree. I have to do that too. But let's score this while we're here. So I'll flip it this way. So 1/4 of an inch. Oh, I lost my markings. 1/4 of an inch. 1 3/4 and 2 inches. So then we can stamp our tree. Before I forget, I just want to stamp the little accents, little pine needles. I didn't do this right when I did the original cards before, so I'm going to hopefully get this right this time. How did they do it? They did it up like this. Like, I don't know, that. Oh, yay, I did it right this time. Okay. Awesome. So then we can fold all of those score lines. So they're all going to fold in the same direction. And let me think here. When we have it folded on this, so you've got your first score line and your second score line and your third score line. So if we fold it on that second score line, then we can trim this excess off. So that will make it be, and I'll just use my scissors because it's such a little cut. So that makes it become 3.5 inches long. So that's how long this is, 3.5 inches. Okay, because then you can see you've got this little rocking element. Okay, now trying to remind myself of how I did this part. Okay, I think what I did was I then attached the tree to this left side of my pop-up window thingy. So I'm going to use Tombow liquid glue. Tear and tape would work as well, but this is quite a narrow space and my tear and tape is going to be wider than this. So I'll use Tombow liquid glue instead. And I want to kind of have my tree so that it is going to be really visible above my, what do you call that thing? The chimney part of my thingamabobber. See, my language skills really need work. So that's a bit too high, about there. So it's going to be flush. It's not flush, but it's going to be flush. Flush with that edge. Like that. I got a little bit of glue up here because I had it in the wrong spot. That's where that's going to go. So because I got glue there, I mean, it's nice because that's not going to be visible, but I can use my, if I can find it, I don't know where it is. We'll not use that. I'm going to I could use my adhesive eraser, but I think it's not going to be seen, so I'm not worried about it being unsightly. So I just need to make it not sticky. There we go. So the powder from my embossing buddy did the trick. Okay. So that's that little guy. So we need to put this in our card now. So what I'll do now is I'm going to attach this side to my card base. I have to think as I'm doing this, make sure I'm doing it right. I don't want to lead you astray. So this side is going to get adhesive on it. And again, tear and tape would work great. So that's going to glue to the left of our fold. And you want to make sure that it's going to, that your card is going to close properly with that bulk in there. So sometimes it can't be right next to the fold. It has to be just like a hair width away so that your card can fold. So that's good. Okay. And then this might bug me because it's now ugly. I don't think it will show. I don't think it will show, but it might show. Oh, I do have here's my tool. There's my eraser tool. Let's do that and get rid of that. There we go. That makes me happier. Yay. Okay, so then we need to, remember that folding it in half. So we're going to fold that in half and we're going to put adhesive only up to that score line there. So there's adhesive only on that. And then we're going to carefully just fold the card closed, which is a bit tricky. The whole card has to go. There. Whew. I think we did it. I'm peeking. Yes, it's good. Whew. I did it right. So because I use liquid glue, I just want to make sure that that's going to set properly. And we need some adhesive now for this element, this piece here. So we can flip our card over. This piece is just going to fold over the end like that. So we can just do that right now while that other one is, the other glue is setting or curing. I don't know the proper terminology. And just want to make sure that that adheres really nicely. Tombow liquid glue is pretty fast when it comes to paper. It's when you have other elements like metal or non-porous elements that Tombow needs just a little bit more time. Let's see if it works. Moment of truth. Yay! So that's that pop-up design. And I mean, cute, right? Like just like this, right? I think so. These little nibbly bits though, I tell ya. Okay. So then we have another element that we want to put on, and that is the tree over top. And this tree has a purpose, and that is it will hide this white section on that's holding that tree on our card. So let's go ahead and stamp our decoration on our tree. What do you call them? I guess pine needles. We'll stamp those on our tree. This is, of course, all this, the punched die cut sections are all from the kit. Okay, so in order to have this tree covering up that area right there, I'm going to need it to kind of tuck into the corner more than this card will allow me to. Well, actually, I wonder. The other one I don't know. I think I need it to, I do. I need it to go in the corner a little bit more. But we're going to start by getting our little, just like we did that little geometric kind of folding thing going on, we need one for our tree down here. So what I've done is I have this piece that was a piece cut off of this part of the paper. So that was the edge piece that I cut off. So I'm going to use that for my tree. And again, we're going to score. Oops, put that the right way around, Dame. Okay, so we're going to score at, again, 1/4 of an inch, 1 inch this time, and 1 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to cut it at that 2.5 inch mark. And then we can go ahead and fold on all of our score lines. And you'll notice once again, when it's scored on that 1, 2, 3rd score line, it's in half. That's just a tidy way to finish it off in the card. Okay. So hopefully this will do what I need it to do. So that's going to go in my card base there. So let me just look at my sample. So in my sample that I did, my first one, I did Granny Apple Green. And it's hard to see maybe in the video, but you can see it on this side and you can see it on that side. So I've made my little box element shorter, so none's going to poke out this on the right side. And because I'm using this patterned paper, it's going to blend better with the paper on the left, and then I won't see my mechanism as much. Okay, so we're going to put a bit of adhesive on the first little tab. Like that. We can fold it in half. No, this doesn't feel right. I think it has to fold there. Now I'm confused. Okay, we'll test it out. I can always trim it. Okay, so we have a little bit of adhesive on that first tab, and we can tuck that at the base. I don't know how high I want my tree. I'll go there. So we can put that there and fold our card closed. Maybe. It's so hard to see it. Might be better for me to just lean it or do it this way instead. On that side and fold the card closed. Then I can see what I'm doing a bit better. Okay, and then I do need to trim this. I measured wrong. Okay, so when this is like that, it needs to be sorry guys, I'm just going to do a minor adjustment here. Don't mind me, don't mind me. I have to cut off quite a bit. So whatever measurement I told you, you're going to do this much less, 1/2 inch. It seems like a lot. I still feel like I've done something wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've got it right. I think so. So then I just want to put adhesive on this section, not past the score line there. Oops. I really hope that's right. Let me just double check it. Yeah, that's right. So just this end section here. And then I can fold that closed and say a little prayer. Make sure to ask the crafting gods to show me that I did it right. Be in my favor. Let's see. Yay! So it should do the little box thing, right? So that's doing what I want it to. So let's just give that a minute. So on my other sample, my first card, you can see that I don't know if you can see, but I folded the tree and glued some of the branches to the left side of the inside of the card. That allows me to have the tree tucked into the corner like I want it to be, because I want it to cover up this white area there. So it needs to be like that, right? So when I lay it in there like that, it would appear that I'm going to pencil mark it. I want my tree to bend right about there. So then again, I can go with my score tool, and the only benefit to my score tool in this case is that it keeps it straight. So then I can use my pencil line as my guide and draw or make my score line on all the bits that are going to be within that line. So these ones are really small. I think I might just trim those down. Save me some trouble with those. So those little ones, they're too small to bother with. So I'm just going to trim those, make it just look, they're just shorter little branches on those ones. Nobody will even know. They'll look a little different than the other ones. And then these ones I can fold. Oh, I want to erase my pencil mark there. Fold those. And then I can attach that to my card. So I have to pay attention to where I need to put my glue. So it looks like kind of the outer side and the lower section here. So there and there. And then I want to put a little bit of liquid glue on those branches that are going to go to the other side. If I don't do that, then when I open my card, those will just be folded over. So they have to be glued to the other side for this to work, or cut off. Like you could just have it cut off and not extend to the other side. That would be okay too. So again, we want to fold it closed. With pop-up cards, it's important to make sure that everything will close and everything will open and everything will line up. Looks good. And then we're almost done. I think we have a sentiment to do, so we'll do that next. Okay, see, it's looking good. Cuteness. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside closed so it can do its thing and be sticking properly to where it needs to stick. And we will get our sentiment ready. I'm going to use Let the Adventure Begin from the kit. And I can go ahead and just use some of the scrap paper from the kit as well. I have this white, and it's Stampin' Up's white. Our basic white is a different kind of color than the Paper Pumpkin white. So if you can keep scraps from the Paper Pumpkin, then they come in handy when you want to add white to a card, but our white looks wrong. It just does. Is this the right width? Nope, a little too small. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp my sentiment on one end, and then I'll trim it down to the size I want. I like the font of this. It's very cute. So I can just use my little baby paper trimmer, trim this down. So it's going to end up being about, I don't even know what I did before. It's about a half an inch. So we're pretty safe, although this doesn't have any measurements. So I'm just going to eyeball it here. Like I can't measure past there. Whoops. So that ended up being, closer to 5/8 of an inch. I don't know if I want it that big. Of course, then I have to try to trim off strategically, and that's just silliness, isn't it? I always have to do things more difficult than they need to be. What's this now? So yeah, it's about 5/8 of an inch. All right, that's fine. And I can just trim this right down because it's going to go kind of like a label, like on a picture. I don't know, on my card. So then this is going to attach up there. So again, I'll use some Tombow liquid glue. Just on the top. Just on that top layer, because I don't want any glue to be not attached to something, right? So that's going to glue up here like that. Like the label for a display. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. Well, let's finish off the inside with some of the sequins that came with the kit. So we've got a couple, I can throw in a couple of blue ones. Some of the larger ones. I don't know where I put mine before. Just pop one down there, if it will let go of my finger. Can have some on the left side as well, because you can. Like that. And then we have this adorable shadow box frame. That's another way to say this. Shadow box frame card. Or diorama card. So then we open it up. Doo-doo-doo! How cute. And that is that. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you'll join me next week for my next Facebook Live. I don't know what it will be, but this one had to be pre-recorded because I will be away, but next week I should be able to do a live video. So thank you for watching and have a great week.